Everyone keeps talking about this cruise ship, the MV Hondius, stuck right now in the Atlantic Ocean because there is an infectious disease on board. And because, despite typically spreading to people from mice and rats, it appears to have spread from person to person.
Officials have confirmed some human-to-human transmission.
The cluster of confirmed cases is serious enough that all passengers on board the Hondius have been quarantined in their rooms. Their ship is also stuck because here's the Atlantic Ocean, here's the ship floating, passing the time, and here's the island nation that refused to allow the ship to dock as a precaution against the disease spreading any further. So let's cut through all the noise and just answer the question. What happened and how serious is it?
The World Health Organization has identified 8 suspected and confirmed cases.
3 people who were on board have died.
I am currently on board the MV Hondius, and what's happening right now is very real for all of us here.
The MV Hondius is what's called a polar-class ship. That means it's built to navigate the coldest climates and to be able to hit ice without breaking, which is handy when you're this far south. The Hondius left port on April 1st from Ushuaia, Argentina. Its first stop, South Georgia Island. It's about 5 straight days of sailing.
And the views were absolutely worth it, looking down over the bay, the colony, and the surrounding mountains. And yes, Gentoo penguins actually climb up these hills.
That's Jake. He's a travel blogger. He's on board the Hondius, and I've used his social media posts to pinpoint where the ship was on roughly which days, because it's around this visit to South Georgia Island the first passenger started to get sick, a 70-year-old from the Netherlands. To him, it might have felt like mild food poisoning or a bad case of the flu.
Fever, headache, muscle aches and pains. It's really, it's non-specific. You're not going to, if someone walked into a clinic with those symptoms, it could be a list of things longer than your arm.
According to a World Health Organization report, this man had fever, headache, and mild diarrhea. This was on April 6th, 2026, while on board the ship. But as the cruise continued, as the Hondius was approaching one of the most remote inhabited islands on the planet, Tristan da Cunha, the man's symptoms had grown much worse. By April 11th, the case developed respiratory distress and died on board on the same day. What the ship's sole working doctor on board would have been wondering was, how did this man's condition get so bad so quickly? And another question, who did this patient have contact with?
This is something that's been happening since the beginning of shipping in the world, where you've seen these viruses happen on these large ships. There's a lot of people in a very small geographic area. So you get a virus onto a ship, it can spread very quickly.
It turns out the 70-year-old who had just died wasn't traveling alone. His wife was with him. They had been traveling together in Argentina before the cruise, and one would expect might have been in very close contact over the course of the cruise. By April 24th, so this is 2.5 weeks after her husband got sick, the wife, too, would fall ill shortly before getting off the ship at St. Helena. She got very sick, her stomach in pain on one day, trying to find a flight back home. One day later, April 25th, her condition worsens while en route to the Netherlands through Johannesburg, South Africa. At some point, she reportedly collapses at an airport. The next day, April 26th, she dies in hospital. Test results show she too had Hantavirus, and health authorities started contact tracing the people she was around, the plane she was on, the ship passengers she spent time with. What investigators would very soon realize, if they hadn't already, was that more passengers were about to report symptoms. The same day that second case, the wife, gets off the ship, another passenger reports to the ship's doctor. He has a fever, he's short of breath, signs of pneumonia. He's evacuated to an ICU in South Africa, a third confirmed case of hantavirus. Then, the same day, that third case is confirmed. A fourth case, presenting with pneumonia, dies. Beyond that, as of the moment I record this, we've since learned of at least 4 more suspected cases of hantavirus on this cruise ship, 2 of them crew members. And now, they're trying to control any further outbreak by keeping guests in their rooms.
We're not just a story. We're not just headlines. We're people.
it's important to point out, in some of these cases, the people who got sick are already getting better, showing improvement. But this virus has no silver bullet treatment, no cure, no vaccine, no antiviral.
Many people will require intensive care unit level care. Some people will require intubation, supplemental oxygenation, ventilation support.
The type of hantavirus we're talking about here is what's called the Andes strain of the virus. One of the countries where you'll most often find it originating, Argentina. That's important because you'll recall that's where the cruise ship left from and where the original two cases, the husband and wife, had spent time before boarding. But this strain of hantavirus is also very unusual because it is the only strain where human-to-human transmission has ever been confirmed.
Usually people acquire this virus from the accidental inhalation of viral particles, and the viral particles can be in dried feces or dried urine of certain rodents.
So you can imagine how this might typically happen. Maybe someone is sweeping mouse droppings out of a shed or a kitchen. Bits of those particles get into the air. You're basically breathing in disease dust. The virus infects the lining of your blood vessels. Often what happens next looks like the flu. There can be fever, fatigue, muscle aches, headaches, nausea, vomiting. But in severe cases, blood vessels in the lungs, they become much more leaky. Plasma seeps out, and you suddenly have a hard time breathing because your airways are flooded. Your heart rate speeds up. You need oxygen.
The disease progresses extremely quickly, and at the onset of respiratory distress, death can occur within 24 to 48 hours.
Now, what we've heard from just about every expert on this file is that this form of hantavirus is deadly, yes, but also exceptionally rare because it doesn't transmit between people all that easily.
The risk to general public is low. This is not a virus that spreads like flu or like COVID. It's quite different.
A real outbreak, they say, would require people to be in very close contact for a prolonged period of time. This isn't we passed each other in the hallway or we both touched the same railing. But on the other hand, cruise ships are tight, enclosed spaces. Complete strangers might spend entire days together at sea.
I think in this case, it was a smaller cruise ship, close quarters, and the fact that they really didn't know what they were dealing with early on, I think that really facilitated the spread of this virus to multiple people.
The real problem right now is that there are too many unknowns. The incubation period for hantavirus is somewhere between 1 and 8 weeks. That's potentially 2 months worth of contact tracing to figure out where and when the disease came from, who's had it for how long, and how many others they could plausibly have infected. So the possibilities health authorities would have had to consider, and it's a huge range here. Maybe every single person who's gotten sick got sick from a rodent on dry land, meaning none of the spread happened on board the cruise. Or maybe the original couple who got sick in Argentina and brought the disease on board, where they infected a small handful of other people. Or what's also possible is that the disease originated on the cruise ship. A mouse on board was carrying the disease. It spread, and this explains why a country might be hesitant to allow the ship to dock, because it may not simply be a carrier of the disease, it may be the source.
They're basically quarantined off the shore for the next 21 days until they figure out where the virus is coming from and whether or not the virus is still on the ship, or did it come in via fruits and vegetables, or are there mice on the ship still spreading this virus around?
Right now, the evidence suggests this disease has spread between humans, and not just from rodents to humans.
We do believe that there may be some human-to-human transmission that's happening among the really close contacts, the husband and wife, people who've shared cabins, etc.
But underlining once again, it's not known to spread easily, and it is known to be a very rare disease. So health experts, for the most part, are taking this seriously, but don't seem overly alarmed. Beyond that, more knowledge will take time.
I'll share more when I can, but for now, I just ask for your kindness and understanding. Thank you.